I had this dream maybe a few months ago, and it starts out sort of mid-argument. It's outside, it's nighttime, talking to some, we'll just call them Hispanics, and they said, well, who was the soccer team that was here last? And it was some kind of Latino that was asking, and he was mad. And I said, oh, it was an Islam team. And it was like that soccer player was there. Either they were there the whole time, or suddenly they're, things in dreams, all of a sudden, like they're there, then they're not there. And the soccer player had on a blue jersey, and it had a white Star of David on it. So almost like that was the team logo, was the white Star of David, and it was an Islam team. And then there was a woman there too, and she was irritated, and they were explaining their names. And then the Islam soccer player was gone. So there was this big argument, and they were really mad, and it was some kind of fight over who was there first and who belonged there. I recall that being the source of dispute. And so we're outside, it's dark, and it's it goes to a wide view, and there's fences behind us, chain link fences behind us, and we're sitting on barricades, cement barricades. So there's cement barricades going down along the road, and it's in a town. And as this argument is happening, then this gang of Chinese just show up. There's a whole line of them, and they're just walking up slightly arrogantly and confident and smoking cigars. It's this kind of mobster scene. And they come up and they just take over. They go in, all of a sudden it's they're inside of businesses, inside of buildings, and destroying things with these weird weapons. I don't know what they are. It's they're smashing things, almost like a press. And they had cap guns, and they're pointing them at people. And at first we're oh, they have a gun, but it was a cap gun, and they were sort of laughing about shooting it. I don't know what it means. And then we're oh, we should call the cops, and everybody kind of ran. And then so I thought that was just a really odd dream to have. And then my partner had a dream about a week ago, which sort of brought this back up to me. And in his dream, he was coming up to a city, and he thought the city looked really weird. So he stopped the car and got out and was taking pictures of it with his phone. And then the city started changing, and then he looked behind him, and there was just a huge street fight between Mexicans and Chinese. They're just fighting, beating the crap out of each other. And I was oh, that's weird, because I had a dream similar, where there was Mexicans or Hispanics or whatever having an argument and being distracted, and then the Chinese just came and took over. So I don't know what it means. I am not holding any sort of personal view, political view. I'm pretty neutral on a lot of things, just because I sort of understand the nature of a lot of things, to the best of my ability. I'm not saying I have all understanding. So I don't know what it means. Maybe somebody has some insight on what it could mean. I don't know what commonality, Hispanics and Chinese have, or what they could be fighting over. The only thing that really came to mind was oh, made in China, oh, made in Mexico. But I don't know what it is. And it also spurred a conversation between us about how I was like, I don't know what the correct term is, you know, Hispanics, Latinos, Mexicans, because I don't know if it was exactly Mexico. I kind of woke up feeling like I was talking to Mexicans, but I don't know, it could have been any sort of like Latinos. But I was like, what is the correct term for that? Because Hispanic, you know, means of taking on Spanish language. And obviously the people from that area didn't always speak Spanish. They were originally indigenous peoples and adopted that language, as well as some religious facets. So, I mean, now it would be politically correct, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what they would actually be called anymore. Just a thought. So I don't know what the dreams mean. I just thought that I was probably supposed to share them. And maybe somebody has some insight into what that is. But one thing that did really stick out in my mind was the soccer player and the jersey, because I was like, maybe they're actually one and the same. And then I came across some other videos where people are talking about it, and maybe that's not too far-fetched. I don't know. Okay, that's all I got.